All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. Easy to say, I've missed you all so much these last few days. I was just wildly busy and things got a little hectic on my side, but everything is okay. So I want to cover three stocks today. I might reference a couple others because there's a lot going on. It's been a bit, but I want to talk about Open. I want to talk about Tilray. I want to talk about BBAI. That'll be our 1, 2, 3 for today, all right? So look, BBAI, I definitely saw this thing start to run. I think around the peak, it was maybe a 12% gain, maybe a little bit more. Clearly, we gave all of that away, ending, excuse me, a little hiccup there, ending around at a 10% loss. Look, overall, and I'll give you more thoughts in a bit, I'm still okay with a lot of this. Look, we drew these four lines. Basically, these three lines were the ones that mattered, but we drew these three lines when we were around here, and lo and behold, we've got to it, right? There are no other lines. I will draw some other ones, right? But we made the run that we were expecting, right? So far, solid check mark right there. I'm still here thinking there's more good than bad, and really, my easiest explanation for today is going to come on that 1 hour chart, which I'll show a little bit later, all right? The next one is Tilray, and look, I say this often. I really don't care about a buy rating, a hold rating, or a sell rating from any of these big analysts, all right? I really don't, because you have no idea if they're talking about 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, 5 years, right? Like, it's all over the place with those buy, sell, hold ratings, all right? To me, the fact that Tilray got a buy rating, I think makes it matter a little bit. All right, I've said it a lot, and really, if you've been in the sector, you know this. It's not like I'm the first one to say this. Tilray has been going down far more than it's been going up. Right, that's a really easy thing to say, right? Since 2018, when this stock became real, right? The fact that we're getting a buy rating around the time that we're getting, political federal rumors, around the time that we're coming back. Let me just zoom out one more time. Look at that volume, right? I drew my line up there because that's how much I loved it. We went to the weekly, and I mean, there's a lot going on with volume, with rumors. Now a buy rating, I'm liking all of that, all right? So we talked about it coming to the death line. We're basically a couple cents away from that death line, and we'll talk about what's potentially next after that, right? And then the last one really is BBAI. And look, I always say this. I say this about every stock, okay? I get better views if I say good things. I get better views if I say, yo, it's all good, it's okay, things are good, things are good. That's not what we're here for, right? We're here to let the lines do the talking and read it as best as we can. This is getting more worrisome, right? Where I like it, where we go away from the 8, then to the 8, then bounce, then you know what I mean? Like we use the 8 nicely. All of a sudden we're going away from the 8, coming to the 8, going away from the 8. I'm not sure if we're getting over these lines, and that's getting concerning. I mentioned the death cross last time I made a video. It was about a week ago, so it makes sense. I remember talking about this 8 death cross on the 50. We did see the 20 death cross the 50 shortly after that, right? So there is still more bad than good here, and I know this thing can get real good volume, this and that. We're substantially lower than we've been in a while, and we're way further apart from that 50-day line than we want to be, right? So still not good things happening here, all right? Interesting day in the market, and I will say I expected a lot more today, all right? On Friday, we got this big pop of a candle. It really made it sound like there's going to be a rate cut this September, and I think people were being really happy. Lo and behold, S&P 500 is actually red. Lo and behold, NASDAQ is actually red. I didn't see the Dow Jones. What did you do today? This one's also red, and actually relatively ugly red. Kind of stopped a little under 50% candle. I think I would have wanted it just a couple dollars higher, but nonetheless, right? Kind of an odd day for this thing for this being the indices to be red, given that good news we just got from Powell, right? My best thoughts, and I just said it right when we ended, at the end of the day. Look, we have NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday after hours. All right, it makes a lot of sense to me that we're just going to kind of wait, let NVIDIA do its thing, and then react from there, right? There are so many different graphics about like NVIDIA being X% of the S&P 500. I just saw something that NVIDIA's market cap is very close to surpassing the entire Japan stock market, the Nikkei, I think is what it is, right? Like, Nvidia is a crazy, crazy ticker, and yeah, the market is gonna wait. The market's gonna hold its breath, and then when Nvidia does its thing, the market will react and go, right? So, as odd as it really, really is that we saw this, hey, obviously we're still over the 8 and the 20 moving average. As odd as it is that we saw this again, hey, we're still over the 8 and the 20. I think it's some NVIDIA caution that makes a lot of sense. This time in 2 days, you know, we'll see what Jensen says, and go from there. All right, so let's go here. Before we do go any further, though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel, share this video online with your friends, comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms, but for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So let's continue taking a look at open, and again, the entirety of this chart is basically 2 things in my head, all right? Volume, number 1, and then holding the moving averages that we needed to hold, right? And I mean, like a champion, this thing has been riding the 8 and the 20, especially since it broke all 5 and flew, right? Like, that is literally what we look for on every single stock, and oh my gosh, beautiful, right? What I do want to do is I'm going to delete these 2 lines, all right? I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to delete this one. At this point, you know, I don't want to lose the 20 moving average, right? So to me, I don't need to draw a line to remember that. Don't lose that 20 moving average, right? I'm keeping this just if we do go below the 8, at least I've got something. If that 20 is going to cross it, obviously I'll get rid of that right now. But as long as we're over the 8 and the 20, things are going to be okay, all right? So I said in the beginning of the video, look, I saw this run, right? We were, what, pennies away? We were 5 cents away from, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong number. We were 13 cents away from kissing $6, right? Like, I was definitely watching it. It was at least a 12% gain, if not a little bit more, and then obviously you see almost a mirror opposite, almost a 12% loss, right? To me, it is okay, especially when you look at this hourly chart, all right? And really, this was a perfect zoom, actually. So first, I'm going to start back here. The hourly RSI back in August 15th got as high as 85, all right? And then, very healthy, came all the way down to a 28 RSI, all right? And the cool thing is, right, it's basically from this doji right here all the way to this right here. It wasn't that crazy a drop doing it, right? But hey, this thing has shown us at an 85 RSI, it's going to be time to cool off, right? What were we at the peak of today? Look in the box over there, a 93.99. That's a high RSI, all right? And we aren't here for crazy meme this and silly squeeze that. We have some rules. We try to keep them within the rules, and we adjust accordingly, right? We ring the alarm at 80. We ring a louder alarm at 85. We're for sure ringing another alarm at 90. Yeah, it's going to make sense to us that right here at a 93, we're going to need to cool down, right? All of a sudden, our RSI is right at a 62. That's definitely on the healthy side on the hourly. We've come to the 20 moving average. Hopefully, we don't lose that line, and it would be a decent place to bounce, right? When you look at the daily, which again, that's why you're watching these videos, right? We're here for daily and weekly thoughts. This is still a good daily chart, right? I'm still seeing a healthy RSI even before, right? When I look at yesterday, it was a 74, not even quite 80. So that is all right. And like I said in the opening thoughts, we made the initial run that we were looking for, right? There are no lines. I'm going to draw a couple more right now. But yeah, we made 3 resistances from where we were. Break, break, break. And here we sit at the 3rd one, right? So far, so good. And I think it wasn't that far away from this comment. One sec. Sorry, one sec. All right, whatever. Just um, as long as we don't go below, let's call it 425, maybe 420. I don't want to lose more than half that candle. And if I had to guess, that's basically where the 8 moving average will get in the next couple days, right? But as long as we don't go below 420, I think open is very, very bullish. Really, the goal is to break this 480 and then, start heading up, right? So what is that start heading up? Let's take a look over here. And really, let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. Is there anything else back there? There is not. Lovely. So I would say the next line looks like it's probably right there. Yeah, look at that. I basically took the top of that, ends up being the top of that, basically the bottom of that. I would say that's the next line right there. I don't think I want to draw another line because, hey, this is a 450 stock. If we actually get to 630, that's some really, really nice gains right there, right? And if you watch my videos well, there's one thing I like to say. Look at this line right here. And this is basically where what we're trying to break next, right? But there is so much nothing for literally years after just full years and years and years of nothing going on in this channel. If we break 480, it's gonna be a fast fly to that 633 right there. Maybe we'll get a little bit of noise, but that's basically what we wick today too, so I think that makes sense. Maybe there's a little bit of noise around 530, but yeah, even 530, I don't think. And yeah, look at that, I'm clicking at this next 50%. And again, that's roughly what we would. I think this is the line right there. I do. I think that's the next strongest line right there. There's a couple maybe resistances, like I said, for 540 and 580, but I don't think either are worth drawing right there. I like that. If we get over that, I'll draw some more lines. One more time. I am very bullish as long as this thing stays over 420. If you lose 420, 375 and 330 are going to be my next 2 lines down, all right? When we come take a look at the weekly, where are we at? Look, this is an important week right here, right? If this week does what it can do, we're trying to break all 5 on the weekly shortly after breaking all 5 on the daily, right? So this is an important week right here. And hey, at the minimum, this says 411, right? I'm roughly clicking at this candle's 50%, this last week's candle, maybe even closer. So look, I think risk reward tolerance, I think anything between 420 and 410, I would say is pretty bullish with that 375, like I mentioned under it. What is this thing actually? Look at that. The 200 moving average on the weekly is 378. That's basically a couple cents away from that 375 that we're sitting at right now, right? So cool. I think this is open right here. Look, I'm going to end it with volume, all right? Look at the volume that's going on, right? We've never had anything like we've had these last few weeks, really these last 2 months. And I mean, the chart alone is showing it, right? As long as volume does its thing, we're all good. What I like about today, I know it's a 10% loss and no one wants to see that. Just in this single day today, we've already got more volume than we needed for the entire week, right? On a weekly average, we're averaging 442 million shares. Today alone, we got 600 something, right? We are already over the white line. You know how important that is for me. And I jokingly always say, there's no such thing as negative volume, right? Even if this thing just dropped to I don't want to say a low number, right? You can lose money, but you can't lose volume, right? So weekly volume's already done in a single week. That continues for me to say, yeah, volume's still doing some crazy next level things, all right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's come take a look at Tilray. Honestly, I think I said a lot of the stuff on the opening thoughts as I go back in my head, but there's a lot of good happening right now, and the cool thing is we really were starting to look at this stock around the 45 cent realm. I know there are people in the Discord that attacked around this moment, if not around this moment, and hey, we're basically 2x from both of those, let alone how much further up we are from that 45 cent, right? So a lot of immediate good going on in the chart right now. And then what I do just really love is how much just juicy rumor is still out in the air, right? There has been no real updates since there was that initial federalization rumor, right? I think it was probably this candle right here, if I had to take a guess. I don't honestly remember the day, right? But that candle and that volume makes me think it was then. All right, there really have been no updates. And despite no updates, all we're doing is writing the 8 moving average, right? We go up, we come down, the line holds, it goes. I'm telling you, there's some stuff I don't give away for free, right? I'd love to charge someday. The 8 and the 20 are some real valuable lines right here, right? And I love showing the power of the line. We've seen it. It's a horrible line when it's a stock's worst enemy. Oh my goodness, it's just best friend world when it's not. And the 8 and the 20 work together where you escape and fail, you fail and bounce, right? So, I mean, it is a mirror of the bad that was before, right? I'm going to come to the weekly and show the weekly and just zooming out, zooming out. Look at the volume, right? This federalization rumor week was the biggest volume week ever, right? Since 2018. And this has been the, like, there's a couple moments, right? There's definitely this one right here. I don't actually like this moment right here because there's good week and then couple bad week, good week, couple bad week, good week, couple bad week, right? There's actually only a few that are back to back. That's a few back to back right there. That's a decent window right there. This is another nice, decent window that we're sitting in right now, right? So I'm liking the volume consistency. I'm obviously loving the volume numbers. And then, hey, look, not exactly the same, but today is just Monday. All right. In a single day, we got most of the weekly volume requirement, right? Like that's amazing. I'm telling you, there's no such thing as negative volume. This is not going to go down, right? Even if we get the smallest fraction of this over the next, what, if we even just got 10% over the next 4 days, we're still going to break the weekly average, right? And I sincerely doubt we'll only get 10% of today's volume the rest of the days, right? So it's solid on that. Look at where we're at right now in the weekly, right? I've been talking about this death line. I always say I respect these 5 computer generated lines way more than my simple little human clicks, right? So I think I would give the respect a little bit more to that 100 moving average. That thing is sitting at 143. It's what, 8 cents below my 151 line, right? So basically within that zone is kind of the same thing, but we've made our way. Break the 20, go to the 50, break the 50, go to the 100, right? Break the 100 and go to the 200 will be the next thing we talk about, but not just yet, because clearly we haven't yet. And just look at this line, right? We've tried but couldn't, tried but couldn't, tried and then never again, right? The closest we got to it was early 2024, right? Like, this is not an easy blue line, but red, red, red to green, green, green all the way to the line was really, really good, right? So what's going to happen next? Look, I do still think we're going to come to this red line. All right? I think the line that matters more than this red line is actually this 179. When I look at the daily, I mean, there is what looks like, I mean, it is literally, this is an entire year view. There's an entire year, let alone probably another half behind it, right? There's basically a year and a half of trading at this 179. This is a big line. Death line's an important one, and it's red for a reason. That's actually the stronger resistance right there, all right? So if this gets over 179, if this gets over 179, we've without question broken that 100 moving average. That's a very difficult line. And I'm for sure going to be thinking 200, right? Maybe we can lower it to around 166, give or take. Let me just see what 166 looks like. Do I want to actually lower it to there? Because that's also what looks nice on the weekly. No, 173. All right, I could see 166. There's a little bit of the top and bottom right there. I'll do you 166. I'm all right with it. Nope, it's not there. It's around there. It's basically top and bottom of that, bottom of that, bottom of that, basically peak of that, kind of bottom of that, 168. I'm cool with 168. I don't want to delete my 151 line, but I mean with that little bit of a gap, that's basically a single line. You can even take the average of it if you want, but I would basically say I think we're coming to 160. Let's see what 160 does. And hey, if I had to guess, another push to 160 will probably take the RSI and the daily pretty high, and that'll be a place where it's going to need to do a little bit of cool down, right? So I think the very, very simple thing to say is, yo, as long as we are over the 8 moving average, there's nothing to worry about, all right? On the technical, I'll say I don't want to go below 132. I think it's very, very bullish over $1.32. And yeah, I think 160 should be next. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Last one we're going to talk about is BBAI. And look, I said it in the opening thoughts. I'm going to say it one more time. Believe me, I know I will get better views, better comments, happier viewers if I say nothing but good things, even when it's not true. If I was to say, hey, don't worry, this 530 is a steal, it's a bargain, oh my gosh, beautiful future, blah, 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 yo, I would get a lot of views, a lot of shares, and all that. That's not what I'm here for, all right? And I know there are a lot of people that really like this stock. I know there are a lot of people that have a lot of shares of this stock. When you're talking about a thing that's pushing 300 million shares on a single day, back to back days, right? Like, there's a lot happening on this stock, all right? We're not there anymore. And it's important. Look, if you're long and strong, I'm just some short term dude, right? I'm a guy that lives in the daily and the weekly, barely ever looking at the monthly, let alone further than that, right? So I'm just a short term dude. But I am seeing more bad than good. I am seeing a gap down on earnings. I am seeing a difficulty to get over the 8 moving average. I've seen two death crosses, both the 8 and the 20, death crossing the 50. And I think most concerning of all, we've dropped a lot of volume. We've dropped a lot of volume. I'm going to actually zoom out before I say this just to make sure I'm not wrong. Okay, it was right here. So I think this is the worst miss from the 50-day line actually in a while, actually since all year. Because I'm not going to do the math quick enough. Like this one missed by 66%, right? You were supposed to get 60, you only got 20. We were supposed to get, I'm not going to do that math quick enough. Yeah, it's almost there. It's 50, 50, 50 is almost 150. Not quite 33. But yeah, we're missing our 50-day line by a lot now. And it's a continual trend, and we're actually going down in volume too. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but yeah, this was a lot closer to 100. That was much more over 50. We're definitely under 50 right now, right? So volume's getting a little scary. It looks like we did not hold that support, right? And it looks like we weren't able to get over even the 8. I have to think we're coming down right here to 487. You lose 487, I gotta think that we're gonna come down to 430, 440, give or take. And I remember the last thing I said on my last video is, hey, there's a decent chance this thing falls all the way down to 320. Hopefully, it never goes lower than 4. Because you can kind of see it on this weekly. It's actually a pretty good resistance. It is the 50 itself. It's all those weeks right there. And it's actually most those weeks right there, right? Like all of that right there is living at 4. There's a lot of strength at 4. I think that seems like the safest line. What I'm seeing also is the red just started to go over the green on the MACD, right? And even 56 isn't quite that low. Like 30 is the normal low. And even on this thing, not that long ago, sometime during this year, the weekly got to a 19 RSI, right? So I'm telling you, I'm not here to bash any stocks. That's not what I'm here to do. But I'm here to keep these all random 3, 4, 5 letter tickers and make the technical say it's worth it, not my heart and my brain. Because I'm telling you, and this really is from experience. Before I knew what any of this technical stuff was, before I knew what the lines meant, I had no idea what a moving average was, let alone the MACD and the RSI and the average vol. Like, I don't know any of this stuff, right? It was really hard to admit to myself I was wrong. And yo, it's still early, and this thing has gone from absolute garbage to sitting at 5, right? So there were a lot of people that had this at 1 something and are sitting at 5, right? So I'm using the word garbage kind of loosely, right? But there's things to be concerned about, and we really need to find that technical support before we start thinking bring an 18 wheeler and fill it up with shares, right? This 530, I don't think it's a steal yet. I don't. If we come to that like 4 range, that's arguably the first like, yo, maybe we bring in an 18 wheeler. I think if it comes to 3, which again might be difficult to do, there's literally 4 resistances between there, let alone any ones that I can manually draw, right? So long way to go, but 4 kind of seems realistic, especially look, we did lose the 8 and the 20 and came to the 50 on the daily. We are kind of potentially going to lose the 8 and the 20 and come to the 50 on the weekly. I could see the foreshadow copying it. You know what I mean? So let me know if you disagree, right? I'm for sure just some dude giving thoughts and opinions. I have no crystal ball. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Personally, I will lower this line to here. Get me over 650. I will love BBAI like I did before. For now, it's really hard to even like this thing, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much.